your mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off in my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing week 2 of KDL regular season, the very first one to kind of kick off what we all hope to be a very long history of KDL that we start to build up. And we're continuing the solo matches, which are only happening on the weekends right now in the regular season.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I got to cast last Saturday. I got to cast this Saturday, getting all the solo matches. Because solo matches, they've always been a lot of fun in the KDL. But with some of the patch changes, for instance, hold that all. I'll get into that later as we look here at the overview. So the top 3 players from each of these groups of the round of 32 will advance directly into the round of 16 for positions 4 and 5 from each group. They're going to go into a special wild card match to decide who joins them in the round of 16. And from then on, it's a lot more straightforward, similar to the preseasons if you watch, where we play the round of 16, the winners match, the losers match, and then eventually the finals.
Yeah, so the redemption match really is just to give a little bit of an extra chance, because sometimes, you know, you have someone who barely, you know, gets out in 5th place, and then they're just done after the round of 32. And so, you know, obviously for some of the players that might get 4th place early on, you know, it's a little rough, but you do have to go through that extra redemption match. And of course, as we've explained before, we have the new rule where not only will the solo matches finish if you get 50 points first, but if you win 1st place 3 consecutive rounds, so 3 consecutive tracks, then it's just over no matter the point standing.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be the first 3 tracks. It can be any section of 3 tracks, 3 consecutives, and you are going to be the winner. And right here you see how often it happened in preseason 1. We had 4 players doing it, but you know, as skill levels rise, it becomes more difficult to actually dominate the competition. So in preseason 2, only 1 player was able to achieve that feat. It didn't happen in Group A last Saturday. Is it going to happen this week? Only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Now, Group A was kind of the battle of Live Sandbox players, and we do see Neil and Jimin both able to make sure they carry at least some of the pride of Live Sandbox. Of course, you know, one of their teammates, Adalda, not able to make it through. But so you have Neil, World, and Jimin, which I think were by far the favorites. They go into the round of 16, they secure their spot, and then Hong and Squad will have to await the redemption match. So as you can see, if you're doing the math in your head, 3 players from each group will be guaranteed into the round of 16. That's 12 players. And then you have 8 players going into the redemption match. 4 of those will then round out for the round of 16.
Yeah, and I really like that rule change, too. It was a little confusing the first time I heard about it, but then when I understood, it's just that one final match, 8 more players. I love it, because some of these groups, they can get absolutely stacked at times. And you know, this way, the best always are going to rise to the top over time, as we're entering a solo match with really a pretty wide array of players. We have a couple of fan favorites coming in, but also a good number of rookies here in Group B.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with some of those favorites. It's going to be Hero with the yellow stripes in that top seed here. And you know, he says, okay, I want to make that consecutive 3-round win happen, try to end this solo match early here in the round of 32.
Yeah, and I think it's actually probably one of the groups that has the highest chance of this occurring, because there are so many rookies that are either making their debut or one of their first performances ever here. So we see Navi on screen, round of 32, Group C, top 5 there. So you know, not the best performance so far in solos, but still consistent enough to come through here in the regular season.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see some fans for Navi out in the audience. And then we have another Rocks player. We actually have 3 of the Sungnam Rocks players in the same group today. And he's talking about, that's not my name, so boong is the sound for the farting noise, you know, in Korean. That's what people write it as. So he's saying that's not why I named myself boong.
How many times did he get asked this to have to make
But here's the thing, that's
thing?
what I thought of too when I saw it. So, I mean, maybe you got to choose another different name But here's that third SUNGBIN player. It's going to be AcidFly. And State, you have some big hopes for this guy.
Yeah, AcidFly, I was very surprised in the fan vote that he was so low on the tiers because at least from the games that I casted from him, especially in preseason 2, AcidFly, it feels like his mechanical skill, it's very high. It feels like he can hang with the best of them. And in a group with so many rookies coming in, so I look at this, I see Hero and SUNGBIN as the favorites. SUNGBIN right now on screen. I mean, this guy just perennially is scary. If I can eliminate, oh my God.
So that lake is right behind the studio, by the way. It's what the amusement park here kind of looms over.
Yeah.
And then he says, okay, if I get eliminated today, I'll run outside and dive in. By the way, it's gotten chilly at night, so
yeah.
he might have to eat his words here a little bit if things go awry, but I can't imagine that that'll happen.
Yeah, I'm really thinking that him, AcidFly, and SUNGBIN have the best chance of advancing. For guys like Skald, where they don't have quite as much experience, quite as much success in the solos, it's going to be difficult for them to hang with these top dogs. And by the way, for the upgrades, I don't know if you guys have noticed yet, but I think every single person is running the 7492 here in this group.
Yeah, I do believe so. So, I mean, once we get another chance, we'll try to keep our eyes on that. But seems to be the same idea across the board. And now we start to look at some of these rookies like ChelLy and just saying, okay, SUNGBIN, let's qualify together. All right, I mean, ChelLy, if you're able to qualify in the top 3 here in this group of round of 32, huge props.
Yeah, that would be pretty remarkable. And actually some fun facts about ChelLy coming into this one. So he's majoring in security science, and apparently our production also told us he's a master of Taekwondo. Like, he's very gifted. So yeah. I'm kind of wondering, how is that going to factor into his body fighting when we come in? Like, he's going to be colliding with a lot of other racers?
I mean, maybe he's able to just body block everyone out from the podium, and he's able to secure it with what he's learned from his security studies. Of course, SPEC, another rookie here. And now SPEC is actually a bit of a dancer, we're finding out. He's part of the dance club in his university. Maybe if he's able to qualify right away, we do a little celebration on stage.
Oh, I like that idea. Yeah, celebration ceremony. Maybe ChelLy actually beats him, walks over, just a slam on him, martial arts him to the ground.
Gets him into a headlock and says, no dancing on stage. But by the way, our writers confirmed that they actually checked in on his YouTube, and he is a good dancer, in case anyone's wondering. So
I like that they had the tenacity to be like, okay, we're going to just confirm that he's a good dancer. He's not a bad dancer. He has what it takes. Let's see how he dances here on Snowbound Slopes as we kick off the Group B for solo matches here in the round of 32.
And the race is off. Hero, of course, gaining that spotlight right away as the racer in the yellow stripes. He's just making sure he's able to gain a lot of that boost gauge. Gives up the lead a little bit, but he's looking to catch up as we continue this race.
Yeah, and I like that idea coming in here from Hero. Now, he hasn't actually been able to move up the ranks from it, but in a lot of these early turns here on Snowbound Slopes, as you can see, there is a lot of collision potential. And so for Hero to try and just focus on, hanging back, build the nitrous gauge instead, wait for them to collide, and then take the move. I like that a lot as a plan. He's going to be rounding out top 4 right now as a result of that. Ooh, big collision, too.
Yeah, SUNGBIN, a bit of a misstep there on that tunnel area. You want to make sure you try to hug the middle pillar as much as possible, but he's going to get bumped out, lose a little bit of that top speed. Gonna have to regain it with the boost. As ChelLy right now, he's in the lead, trying to prove himself as a rookie coming in. He has not competed in the professional league of solo matches so far.
Yeah, this is his debut performance, and here on track number 1, off to a really great start here as we're rounding out the first lap. Now SUNGBIN, the veteran here, coming in close behind him. We'll try and draft it, eventually make a pass if he can.
Yeah, and now I think right there we saw the difference between rookies and the veterans, though, right? I mean, SUNGBIN, he knows he's behind, so he takes this line where he gets an extra instant boost towards the end of that slope, while ChelLy just says, I'm in first place, like I don't want to take any risks, I'm just going to play it safe through the middle, between the trees, right? Not try to get any more crazy instant boost to try to gain a further lead.
Yeah, it's SUNGBIN right there with a little bit better nitrous gauge overall, as you pointed out, able to take that lead off the draft and a boost.
And SUNGBIN now not looking to lose that once again. I mean, as long as he doesn't make the same mistake in the tunnels, I can't imagine that SUNGBIN will be giving up first place. Meanwhile, we should note, Hero had that rough start, tried to regain it, but if anything, he's fallen even further behind. He's all the way back down in 8th place.
Yeah, pretty surprising result for one of the favorites here in this group, as 1, 2, 3 is pretty sparse. I mean, there's a lot of gap between these players, so not a lot of pressure on anybody, really. As we're coming down the home stretch, SUNGBIN still in first place. AcidFly with that drop down, actually able to body block ChelLy a little bit.
Yeah, AcidFly, I mean, with the hopes of our commentator State here, he's trying to get that podium finish. SPEC, though, SPEC and ChelLy, I mean, they're having a great start in their debut matches here at the KDL. Can they keep it all the way to the end? AcidFly, okay, he's gonna try to regain here, right in between SPEC and ChelLy. SUNGBIN should be able to finish first, but who else gets on the podium, gets that big point lead? SPEC boosts right back forward, and he should be able to finish third.
Yeah, really nice top three there. I love what we're seeing from the rookies, SPEC and ChelLy rounding out the top four, but SUNGBIN and AcidFly coming through with the top two, and Hero, one of the favorites, all the way down in 7th place. So a pretty exceptional start. And I gotta say, you know, coming into this one, it's pretty low odds that we have this finish on 3 consecutive wins with the new rules. But if any player in this group is capable of doing it, I think it's gotta be SUNGBIN.
Yeah.
And SUNGBIN coming in track number 1 with a pretty commanding victory, leading by almost a second.
Yeah, that's actually pretty huge. I'm glad you mentioned that. And, you know, while we did say, okay, Hero, he has the yellow stripes, there's a lot of hope behind him. A lot of people are looking at him as someone who's continuing to shine even brighter ever since his debut quite some time back in Kart Rider League. However, let's be honest, SUNGBIN has always been more consistent, right? Hero's had some shining moments, but not across every track. Meanwhile, SUNGBIN, he's part of that God squad on KWANGDONGFREECS. Just won an Ace Smash earlier today as well, trying to continue that same success in the solo matches.
SUNGBIN was able to make it to the round of 16 in the first preseason, was a finalist in the second preseason, as he's looking to continue that success here on into the regular season where it matters the most. And we're going to go to his map of choice. It's going to be Glacier Extreme Stadium. Let's see if SUNGBIN can double up. Once again, we are off here. SUNGBIN with a very good beginning here on his map of choice. You love to see it as he just edges out everybody from the starting track.
Yeah, and SUNGBIN then able to boost back forward, try to just maintain that lead. Now, Navi hot on his tracks, but let's take a look at the rankings further back. I mean, Hero's still not able to try to get into contention in the top 4. Meanwhile, SUNGBIN, he's just happy to let things pass for now because it is a 2-lapper.
Yeah, I think for SUNGBIN, of course, you want to have that top 3, or that first place on your mind for 3 consecutive wins, but really anything close to the podium, I would not be surprised if he's just very happy with that, considering what a commanding position he is after that first place win. Now, here we go, coming into the hairpin turns. We'll see if SUNGBIN actually tries to make a play here on Navi. You see each consecutive turn got a little bit closer there, but actually Skald able to move up into the front for a moment.
Yeah, and I want to say SUNGBIN, he's playing things really safe right now. Yeah, he doesn't want to risk getting collided off of the track as he sees Skald trying to play pretty aggressively. He's just going to make way, has confidence as he's able to boost back forward, at least get that podium finish like you mentioned, Steve, because, hey, listen, I mean, if you get the 3 in a row, that's great, but at the very end, if you're just able to stay ahead of points, you're still going to make it to the round of 16.
Yeah, it really matters just getting top 3 in the group, but SUNGBIN, despite playing very safely and conservatively, once again gets into first place. And look, again, another rookie, ChelLy, coming in.
ChelLy has been playing very well in both tracks. I mean, even on that first track, he's able to come in 4th place. He's actually overtaking SUNGBIN for now. Now SUNGBIN still has an opportunity on the hairpins. He's setting up for that wider start on the very first curve, and he will be able to dash right around ChelLy. ChelLy doesn't look like he's going to have the distance. Navi actually with a sharp jump, but SUNGBIN's too far ahead. Nobody in draft range. SUNGBIN, he's going to get 2 out of 3 in a row right off the bat in the round of 32.
Oh my goodness, William SUNGBIN is on fire right now. And let's go back to lap number 1. You know, he was playing conservatively. He wasn't taking risks. He didn't want to collide. He was playing safe. And, you know, oftentimes you play that style, you're not looking at first place. You're looking at a podium finish. You're looking at a top 3, maybe a top 4. But SUNGBIN in the second lap absolutely found his window. He turned up the heat. And once again in first place. So in a way, we are kind of on match point now. It's been 2 tracks, but if SUNGBIN wins the next track, we're going to have the fastest possible solo group, because the new rules, you win 3 consecutive tracks in the solo, it's over.
Yeah, and the crazy part is that means the point cutoff happens right there. And Hero currently only 1 point on the board. He would be eliminated. Not even redemption match territory. He would just be out if he continues to be in 6th, 7th, and 8th place on the 3rd track.
That's right. I didn't even consider the implications for the people right now at the bottom of the board. Yeah, for Hero, a cumulative score of 1 point. He's got to be feeling a lot of pressure, because if SUNGBIN wins, is there a world where he's able to get to the redemption match? I mean, even with a second place, it's kind of sketchy, right?
It's actually very sketchy. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. And there's another track that all the KWANGDONGFREECS racers are really good at. Of course, SUNGBIN's choice. We go to Zigzag Timberland. All eyes on SUNGBIN as the race begins here in track number 3 of this round of 32 solo match. SUNGBIN, once again, his own pick as he tries to finish this solo match with 3 first-place finishes in a row.
Yeah, and Zigzag Timberland, one of the most technically difficult maps that we have here in speed mode. There's a lot of very tight angles. There's a lot of collisions that happen naturally. And also, given the new patch change, when you go for those collisions, you do not lose your nitrous gauge anymore. That has been mitigated. You actually retain a lot of the speed. And so it becomes a very tricky situation to actually battle through. SUNGBIN not off to the best start right now in 7th place, but just wait for him to find his moment to strike, because I guarantee he's going to be waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I mean, you can see he's just playing his own line right now. Meanwhile, everybody's bunched up. A lot of collisions, both against the wall and against each other. So while you don't lose your boost gauge, you might lose some of that top speed. Everyone bunched up, giving an opportunity for SUNGBIN to catch up. Now we go into the hairpins, and we'll see, does anyone play aggressive in the very first lap of this 2-lapper?
Yeah, SUNGBIN has been able to work his way up into a striking position. I feel like right now he's just kind of looking for that opening. He's looking for some collisions between Skald and AcidFly. Oh, with that tight cornering, able to pass 1 or 2 racers. And here on this outside line, he's going to actually gain ground on this straightaway with his great nitro gauge. Oh, that collision's so good. He's now in 3rd place.
And listen, if I'm Hero right now, sure, if you get first place, that's great. But if you're not able to get first place, you might as well block SUNGBIN out. Because if he finishes the race right now, Hero, you are eliminated potentially from the solo matches entirely of the very first regular season of KDL.
Hero only has 1 point on the board right now, so it's absolutely critical he gets first or he stops SUNGBIN from getting first place. And SUNGBIN, through all of this battling, he was waiting patiently from lap number 1. He is now in top 3 in striking distance of being the first player to close out a solo match with 3 consecutive wins.
AcidFly's holding on to that first place as much as he can. Hero finally a little bit of breathing room. Not only is he able to put SUNGBIN a little bit further back, but SUNGBIN, just look at the way he finds these opportunities off the drafts. He's continued to contest against Hero, and now the pressure. Will it get to Hero? SUNGBIN finds the inner line. And if we go this round, Hero, he may be in trouble. They continue to juggle back and forth around the hairpins, but Hero loses too much speed on that drift. And SUNGBIN, SPEC, can he stop the race? Or will SUNGBIN finish our solo match to the red? SPEC!
SPEC, the rookie coming through! Able to, by a fraction of a second, unseat SUNGBIN, and that one became so close there at the end. Every single hairpin turn, another player was passing another player, and it seemed like SUNGBIN was finally going to get the opportunity to win, but SPEC says no, you are denied. And for Hero right now, who did not get a podium finish, he is breathing a sigh of relief because now it's been reset.
Yes.
There's no more 2 consecutive wins. It's SPEC with 1 win, and you're now looking once more at 50 points as the cutoff. But man, I was getting heart palpitations watching SUNGBIN work his way through. I mean, that was insane.
Here's the thing, is that if SPEC hadn't gotten first place, Hero would have been eliminated.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have gotten in fifth place. So right now, I mean, SPEC is Hero's savior by any means, because now that resets the 3 in a row. So we do have at least 2 more tracks. If SPEC now, of course, is able to go through and try to get 3 consecutive first place finishes, SUNGBIN, you know, he's going to be a little miffed. But one thing I noted, beginning of that track, SUNGBIN's heart rate was like over 180, so I think maybe some of that excitement of potentially finishing the race early might have gotten to him, but we'll see if SPEC is able to try to recreate the same magic as we go to his choice on Mine Gold Rush.
SPEC making his KDL solo first appearance, able to stop. Really a historic moment, the first ever 3 wins in a row there for SUNGBIN, as SPEC had some absolute late-game heroics on one of the most technically difficult tracks that we have here in speed mode. Now on Mine Gold Rush, really another challenging one. SPEC, the rookie, coming through, showing a lot of confidence.
Yeah, but look at Hero. I mean, he's saying, okay, I got a second chance. I'm not letting this go. I want to make sure I'm always near the podium to at least try to regain some points. SUNGBIN showing up out of nowhere once again. I mean, this is how you know he's a veteran. He's just waiting for the right opportune moments. You can tell that when he doesn't have opponents around, he takes just the most optimal line that he's used to during time attacks. But once there are opponents, he waits for that draft to try to even go on the outside and overtake the opponents in front of him.
Yeah, and in the current meta, because collisions do not diminish boost, we're seeing a lot more body fighting actually taking place. And so for SUNGBIN, I think it's a really smart play to just, like, as you said, take the best possible line, focus on nitro gain, and then just make sure that you're in drafting range to make a play, the same way that he's doing right now. If there's a big collision between Hero, BBoong, or SPEC, he's just going to go for it. But in fact, just taking this tight inner, he doesn't even need to wait for that moment. He's right back into contention.
Yeah, and he gets the draft right off of the jump as well, and that actually pushes him right up against Hero. Hero was not ready for this one, but Hero right now, you've been giving a second life here thanks to SPEC, the rookie, and he wants to say, I want to continue to climb right back up, maybe even get his own 3 in a row. BBoong contesting for that here in the second lap.
And getting closer and closer to that finish line as we're about to enter the tunnel. Skald and SUNGBIN neck and neck here for first place. SUNGBIN is leading right now as we have 500 meters left to go. Will SUNGBIN be able to take this tight inner line? He does have a nitrous. He's going to go for the draft, but it's actually going to be BBoong coming in from the outside. No! Skald on the right. I'm surprised he was able to maintain the speed. I really thought BBoong was going to be able to unseat him there with that draft, but in fact, it's going to be Skald coming through and picking up the win, really shaking things up.
Yeah, I mean, Skald just shoots right up to the front, because right up until this track here, round 4, we actually had ChelLy and SPEC, the 2 rookies, coming in and continue to get second and third place in terms of points. But now Skald trying to put his name up there alongside BBoong. Of course, going to be setting that record here for those solo matches. We'll see who unseats that in the future.
Very close race there between Skald and BBoong all at the end. And SUNGBIN, you know, he didn't get the first place, but hey, second place in the previous track, third place in this one. He's sitting at double the next closest opponent, 32.
Oh,
so for SUNGBIN, a lot of the pressure, it is off.
Yeah.
You know, you have pretty much booked your ticket into the next match, the round of 16 redemption match. I would be shocked if he had to find his way into that one with the way he's racing today. And so for everybody else in the lobby right now, it's kind of a battle to get that top 3. You don't want to go all the way down to the redemption match and risk losing your chance of moving on to the round of 16. Let's see what happens now as the solo races continue on WKC Brazil circuit.
Continue the race here on Brazil circuit. Now Skald with that first place finish on the previous track. He does get right up into contention here for the top 3, try to guarantee that round of 16 if they're able to keep the current placement. Meanwhile, SPEC, I mean, sure, he didn't place well in that last track, but he had enough points backed up already that if he gets another podium finish, he's very well in contention to make it to the round of 16.
I mean, he's 1 point away from second place right now. So for a rookie coming in here, and obviously a lot of pressure, heart rate up at 160 right now, he is feeling it. He's still delivering. You know, he is having a fantastic debut performance here, and he's once again in contention. You know, he falls down to 6th place, but we have seen him time and time again be able to recover and take opportunities like that one. When collisions happen, he will close the distance. But now, BBoong, Hero, leading in 1 and 2, and Hero, I gotta say, man, is one of the favorites coming in. He desperately needs to start showing up.
Yeah, it's not going well for him at all. We do see a couple collisions against the tires there, but nothing to stop SUNGBIN entirely in his tracks. Meanwhile, now it's interesting to see that BBoong finally in that first place. Another player we thought had a decent chance, of course, being part of that Sundown Rock squad. We haven't actually had much reason to talk about him. Nothing too bad, but nothing too great either. Finally trying to get a big boost with the 10 points in first place if he's able to keep it here throughout the second lap.
Yeah, it feels like BBoong's just quietly almost been playing a pension plan build, just trying to get in the middle ranks every single time as he's sitting quite close to that cutoff for redemption, but he is going to fall down into 3rd place. We'll see with these drafts and boosts if he's able to actually pass Hero and SUNGBIN and solidify that position here on the final lap. And SUNGBIN, I mean, he is just out of his mind right now. Once again, in first place, in contention to actually win this track.
Yeah, BBoong just trying to find an opportunity because the pension meta, I mean, not only do we have the 3 in a row, but also 4th place isn't a guarantee anymore. You're going into the redemption match, so BBoong trying to get the 10-point SUNGBIN. He wants to block off. He wants to make sure he can try to maintain that speed. BBoong will be able to edge him out. A lot of mind games there in the last stretch, but BBoong will get much-needed 10 points, boosting him all the way up to 24 points total.
Yeah, and William, I mean, Hero did not pick up any points there. That was a 7th place finish. So if I'm not mistaken, I didn't actually see who ran it out in 8th, but Hero might be in last place right now in this group. And with SUNGBIN performing as well as he is, we're getting closer and closer to that final track. SUNGBIN's gonna add 7 points to his total. That moves him up to 39. So he's not quite in a range of closing it just yet, but we might have maybe 2, maximum, I think, 3 tracks left for Hero to start to stage a comeback. And that cutoff for him right now, you're not looking at top 3 anymore. You're looking at making it to the redemption match in top 5. And given his performance so far, that is gonna be a challenging feat to gain ground into top 5.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Again, not only do you want to get to top 5, but I mean, you want to, obviously, for most players, you want to get into the top 3, but for some of these, like Hero, you need to just get into top 5, keep your tournament life alive, as we now go into BBoong's choice in round 6. It's going to take us to Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
BBoong's map of choice here as the pension meta is topped off with 1 victory, and now he's sitting in 2nd place overall here in the points. And Hero, all eyes on this guy. He needs a big performance. He needs a heroic performance, and now on this 1 lapper off to a great start.
Yeah, but like you said, State, I mean, how much time does he have, right? SUNGBIN is so close to the 50 at this point that any finish here and another, near podium finish, and the race is over regardless of who gets first place. We'll have to keep our eyes on that, but the storyline is Hero, can he at least get into top 5, get that redemption match, try to return for another day of solo matches?
Right now, he is 10 points away, and that top 5, I gotta say, it is stacked. It's not like it's just a couple of players. Pretty much everybody right now feels like they are in a spot to go to that redemption match, except for Hero, who is bottoming out. But here, he's racing very well. He's back into first place. This is a 1-lapper. It's one of the shorter tracks here on Boom Hill Tunnel, as Hero's gonna go for the high ground. SUNGBIN playing the only one to actually go for that longer line.
Yeah, just doesn't want to take any chances, right? Just says, everyone else, make your mistakes. I just want to make sure I'm not losing too many points. He knows how far ahead he is. Meanwhile, Hero, he desperately wants the 10 points. Not only does he want the 10, but he wants his own track of choice. But BBoong right now holding on to first. Hero, barely edges him out, stays on the outside, bumps across the finish line. Very close, but now keeping the banner of Miriam Sejong alive here in Group B as Hero gets a 10-point boost.
And man, did he need that victory. He more than doubled his points total with that one. He's
Yes.
going from 6 to 16, and that's very close now to top 5. So a bit of a redemption here for him as he looks to try and survive this group in 5th place. 10 points on the board in total. And the pressure has to be so high right now for Hero. Even coming down to the finish line there, BBoong almost got his 2nd win in a row, which would have been absolutely insane. And you see, right now the standings, Hero, he is finally back on the cusp. He's 1 point away.
You can see, he's running the math, and he says, ideally, you just need to get first place again, right? You can't take any chances because, if SUNGBIN gets first place, the race is over. If he gets 2nd place, the race is over on the next track, more or less, unless he, SUNGBIN catastrophically falls down to the 7th and 8th place. So Hero, he's gonna take us to Mexico as we go to a new track here in the regular season. It's going to be WKC Mexico Touring Rally. And the race is off. SUNGBIN, if he gets first place, the race is over. But if he gets 2nd, we will have, or 2nd or lower, we will have at least 1 more track. Meanwhile, Hero, he just needs to get as many points to try to at least get into top 5.
I think a top 2 for Hero is going to have him being safe at least for this track. Even if SUNGBIN wins it, top 2 should be enough for him to remain in top 5 overall in the standings and at least make it to that redemption match. And I gotta say, he's off to a great start. this track and the previous track has been so far a phenomenal recovery from really a dismal beginning to this group.
Man, but look at the way SUNGBIN is playing. He knows that he's pretty much locked in for top 3 in points no matter what. So once he senses the collisions are coming, he just backs out and says, okay, I'll take the wider line as long as I can maintain my top speed, I can maintain my boost gauge, I'll be able to cash back up, get enough points, finish the next 2 or 3 tracks.
I like him sacrificing his speed just a little bit to go for that boost gauge whenever there's a situation where there's going to be collisions. This wasn't even just his MO once he solidified this position in number 1. You know, this was him operating from, I think, even track number 2. Remember how conservative and safe he was? And this is a very winning formula in a meta of solo speed that's led to a lot more conditions of collisions, given the change in the patch notes.
Yeah, Hero, he did lose a little bit of speed, but making sure that he doesn't get stuck on one of these walls. Now Skald finds a good opportunity to jump right on the inner line, but Hero, now he wants to try to block off both Skald and AcidFly because he knows he desperately wants that first place finish. He's trying to block off Skald, but Skald isn't going to find the opening. The draft just runs out, and Hero will be able to regain the boost, match him boost for boost. That's 2 in a row for Hero.
Man, Hero has fought back in a big way from literally last place in the standings to 2 back-to-back wins. Now on match point.
For him, yeah.
If he gets 3. What a turn of events that would be. Imagine as Hero being in last place and then winning 3 tracks in a row and just getting first because of that. You just win the group with 3 consecutive finishes. I mean, that would just be absurd.
Now, Hero can do the funniest thing, because if he gets first place 3 in a row, but SUNGBIN still gets over 50, who actually goes in as first seed out of this group, right?
I think it's Hero. I think that if you get the 3 consecutive wins, that locks you as victory in the group, which would be so funny. I mean,
oh man, walked away. So
it would be hilarious, frankly.
Yeah, something we know for sure is SUNGBIN is pretty much locked in for top 3 unless he keeps getting 8th place and loses points, right? So
even if he gets 8th place like every single track, I mean, he's still at 47. I think there's no world really where he actually falls out of top 3. So SUNGBIN, he's totally safe right now. He's just playing to go home a little bit early. Maybe he's feeling hungry. Maybe wants to get some meal inside of him.
Yeah.
And for Hero, I mean, really a fantastic comeback, winning 2 tracks in a row. Can he win a 3rd one? After really a poor start to the group, he is now putting this thing on a knife's edge. As we go to his map choice, it is Mine Winding Slopes. Hero on a 2-winning streak. Not something I anticipated after the way this group started, where he was in single digits up until that first win with only 6 points on the board, and another very good start. You know, he's only in 3rd place, but that's absolutely in contention.
Yeah, I mean, Hero, he's looking to try to finish things off. That way, no matter SUNGBIN's finish, Hero is going to be able to make sure that he locks himself in for the round of 16. Meanwhile, we should know, ChelLy and SPEC, the 2 rookies, they're probably, I mean, SPEC falls off there as well, but they're probably a little frustrated at SUNGBIN for not finishing the 3 in a row right away, because they would have been locked in for round of 16. Currently, they are facing elimination with the point standings. Yeah,
they had a great start to this group, but I mean, it kind of is a race of endurance here with these solo match after solo match after solo match. You have to continuously perform at such a top level, as Hero with some monster collisions is going to fall to 7th place. So I think almost undeniably the 3-win streak is off the board. I think Hero, he still might be safe at 26, but this kind of messes with the math a little bit.
Well, if SUNGBIN's able to finish this right now and AcidFly's maybe able to get ahead of Hero alongside Skald, as they both are right now, Hero's going to have to at least go through the redemption match, and SUNGBIN, he definitely has enough points at the time being to finish with 50 points. BBoong gets knocked out. ChelLy, he gets, SUNGBIN even gets first place as people collide against the walls. And we do look at the standings right now. AcidFly finishes ahead of Hero, but not Skald. So,
yeah, it's a little bit tricky. There's so many players that are around that 26 to 30 point mark. It's going to be hard to see. My math, my arithmetic, it's not good enough to be able to call it right now, but I think he's going to the redemption match.
I think so, because BBoong had 31 points, and he sits at 31. Hero would have had to get at least 5, but he's not in the top 4. So I think Hero gets pushed out as Skald gets ahead of him.
No, actually, Hero barely.
Well, so he's in the redemption match.
He's in the redemption match. Okay, excuse me. I went back to my preseason brain where top 4, then you did the round of 16. Yeah, he is in the redemption match along with Skald, and I gotta say, ChelLy and SPEC, they had a tremendous start to this group, but kind of a heartbreaker for them as it went long and they did not have the endurance to keep up.
I mean, it would have been a crazy story, right, if we had SUNGBIN finish with 30 points and then ChelLy and SPEC get locked in for round of 16.
Yeah.
It was very likely. However, SUNGBIN says, you know, I'm not going to greed for it. I'm just going to play it safe. You see some of the rookies there just cheering on, you know, their other competitors here in BBoong. The pension meta actually pays off. He was I think he was feeling the pressure when SUNGBIN won 2 in a row right off the bat. But BBoong, he's able to get enough points, locks himself in for the round of 16 alongside AcidFly.
Told you, man, you gotta believe in AcidFly. The fans, they weren't voting for AcidFly. I was in disbelief because I look at this group coming into today and I'm like, man, SUNGBIN, AcidFly, they're absolutely gonna make it. I was expecting Hero to join them, heading right into the round of 16, but you know, I think his chances of emerging victorious from the redemption match very high. You only got to get top 4 to survive and book your ticket to that round of 16, so that's going to be a match to watch later on in the season, but for now, SUNGBIN, AcidFly, and BBoong just kind of rejoicing in this victory, savoring the moment.
Well, now this does mean that Hero, I mean, yeah, he gets a second shot, but he's going to have to enter that redemption match eventually there. He will have to get into the top 4 to make it into the round of 16. Of course, that's alongside Skald, which means that out of the 3 Songnam Rocks players, Navi will be eliminated. So only it's going to be AcidFly and BBoong, excuse me, moving on from this Group B competition of Songnam Rocks racers.
And truly a dominant performance from SUNGBIN. 57 points in total. The next closest at 31. He almost doubled the group. I feel like we haven't really seen this kind of dominance since one of Neil's groups earlier on in the preseason. That's just a tremendous showing from him.
Yeah, I mean, once again, he won the ace match today as well. SUNGBIN continued to prove that while he might be one of the quieter members in terms of overall team play performance, when needed, when it comes to these speed races, he's one of the best, even on KWANGDONGFREECS.
Yeah, and I feel like the way that he was reading the meta was so smart overall. I love how you pointed out that he would just kind of hang in the back. He would build his nitro gauge. He was focused on that. And then, you know, use a draft once the collision comes in to pass everybody and book his ticket. And that almost led to him winning the first 3 tracks on the board. I think in total he won like maybe 4 tracks in total at first place, which is just absurd in a group that, you know, yes, it does have a couple of rookies, but also has AcidFly, it has BBoong, who had a great performance, has Hero. So SUNGBIN in dominating form. I gotta expect him to make it to the finals if he can continue to race at this level.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned that that's part of the meta because obviously we see a lot of people play more aggressively now because you can maintain your boost gauge. And part of that came into play in our very first match of tonight. It was the team match where SUNGBIN actually did play in that ace match against Desperado, and KWANGDONGFREECS able to defend their win streak here in the regular season.
Yeah, despite losing 3-0 in item mode, though, you know, it's a bit of an eyebrow raiser there. You know, Desperado having Banana, of course they're going to be strong in item, but 3-0, I'm a little concerned for the Freaks, although we were even talking about the meta. Now that it's faster in item mode, it might favor their style, but it certainly hasn't just yet.
No.
And then you go back to that ace match, too. SUNGBIN, when he took that wider turn, he had the soul read on what the angle was going to be from his opponent, Ghost. And if he didn't have that read, if he doesn't get the block, KWANGDONGFREECS easily could have lost this match. So really, SUNGBIN just coming up as an MVP, not just in this team match, but also in the solo matches today. Tremendous performance from him, but for the Freaks, I think it's going to be a pretty competitive season.
Yeah, it's not going to be a shoo-in anymore for that trophy, the very first of KDL. Meanwhile, our second team match, we did have 2 of the amateur teams and actually a bit of a revenge match, as always, did defeat NUTMITE during the preliminaries. But NUTMITE, they were able to get their revenge, and of course, a little bit of brotherhood rivalry between Move and Wave, as always, now tied 1-1 between the brothers.
Yeah. Unless we go to the postseason, I think we're going to have to wait until that tiebreaker comes in. It's either going to be the postseason or the next season of KDL, right? But yeah, a fun little storyline to follow. I was really excited when I saw on the sheets that these guys actually are brothers coming in and competing against each other. That's got to be such a tremendous moment. I mean, imagine trying to come up as a rookie player and make it to the stage, and you and your brother, you're training together, you're giving each other advice, you probably spar together in 1v1s, you probably compare your time attacks, you share your lines together, and then to both make it onto this stage together and have the privilege of, you know, being able to compete against each other on the most competitive kart rider drift stage. It's got to be really a tremendous and honestly beautiful moment for these guys. I'm sure their parents, very proud of them. It's really cool to see these kind of things play out. It's not very often in esports where you have brothers be able to emerge victorious on this. I can really count on my hand the amount of times that it's happened in esports that I follow.
Yeah, especially not in the same title, right? I mean, yeah, we see it across some different titles now and then, but for now, we'll see how they continue to prove themselves as we look at the overall team standings after the matches today. So KWANGDONGFREECS will continue to be in the lead with a 2-0 clean score. Not as clean in the overall round differential, but they're still in the positives, of course, thanks to the overall wins. We will have to wait to see what happens, you know, with teams like Sungnam Rocks and Liv Sandbox. Liv Sandbox currently actually 1-1, so they have a little bit of a longer road, but Sungnam Rocks, they have a chance to continue to contest for that top 2 spot, try to put the pressure onto the KWANGDONGFREECS.
Yeah, the KWANGDONGFREECS are already undefeated so far, too, and, you know, they beat Liv Sandbox in the debut match here of the KDL. It was a banger way to open off the regular season, and so for the Freaks, they've already eliminated arguably their toughest competition, but only time will tell as we look here at the round of 32 bracket for solo match. We finished Group B today, and on the next coming Saturdays, the 21st and the 28th, 3 players will advance from each of those groups into the round of 16, 2 into the redemption match.
Yeah, and it's something interesting I noted in that solo match thing is that we've actually had all different colors qualify so far, and there's 3 colors left in the next matchup, so I'm curious to see who qualifies in Group C, but we'll have to wait a full week because, of course, the next match is going to be on Wednesday, and that is team match day. So Sungnam Rocks and Mira and Sejong continuing their team matches, the second match, and now it will be up against each other. Mira and Sejong looking for their first win here in the regular season.
Yeah, a team that a lot of fans coming into this season had high expectations for. We'll see if they can deliver against Sungnam Rocks, a new and improved, or at least re-kitted Sungnam Rocks. And then to round it out, NUTMITE versus the Freaks and Desperado versus Finale Esports. Banana against his old team. That's going to be an interesting match in terms of storylines.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see. Obviously, Desperado, they face that defeat today against the Freaks, but they could easily redeem themselves and continue to be in competition for the postseason. Meanwhile, KWANGDONGFREECS, they could get a very early 3-0 record here and try to really secure themselves into the postseason right off the bat.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows? Amateur teams so far have been a little bit dangerous for the Freaks, not just this season, but also in the preseason. And so I'm hoping that their coaching staff kind of shores up and tighten some of those bolts coming into the item mode, because right now that definitely does seem to be their Achilles heel. And although their roster is, I mean, beyond all doubts, star-studded, you still don't want it to go to the ace match.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see. They haven't had that clean sweep just yet. Can it happen in the regular season? Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight, but we will be returning on Wednesday to continue the very first ever regular season of Kartrider Drift League. We'll see you then.
your mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off of my brain and I'm bad to the bone.